Welcome to our weekly program, The Inside Story of Chabad in America through the Mindel Archives. This coming week is Tu B'Yov, Chamish Osu B'Yov. And the Chazal tell us that Lehoye Yomim Tovim B'Yisrael ke Chamish Osu B'Yov u'Chayom HaKippurim. There was no Yontif by Jews like the 15th day in Av and Yom Kippur. So everybody has the question, Yom Kippur we all know, the holiest day of the year. But how can you compare what happened in the 15th day of Av to Yom Kippur? So many things happened. One of the things that happened the 15th day of Av, this is the time where people made shidduchim. This is a time that boys used to look for girls, and it's a time of marriage. Now it says that there was a matronisa, there was a queen, that she didn't believe in God, in the Eibishter. So she knows, it says, what does the Eibishter do all day? He sits and he makes shidduchim. And he's a matchmaker. She says, that's the Eibishter. I can also do the same thing. So she spoke to boys, and she spoke to girls, and she made shidduchim. So she said, you see, they got married, and I can do what the Eibishter does. After a few months, they got into fights, and they got into machloikes, they got into arguments, and they divorced. And after that, she understood, now I know what God does all day. That God sits and makes shidduchim. To make a shidduch is something, he comes from one end of the world, one upbringing. She comes from another upbringing. And now they have to live together and get together and live till 120. This is lamayla midarech hateva. Only God can do that. People cannot do that. Now she understood what God does. Now it reminds me, and I think I mentioned it once. It reminds me that one of the letters that Rabbi mentions there, why does the chosn give a kala under the chuppah a plain ring, not a diamond ring? So it says it's for him because she should have her mind on the chosn, not on the $20,000 diamond ring. But the Rebbe mentions there that the reason the chosn gives a plain ring, a cheap ring, $100 worth, is because if chas v'sholem, if a diamond ring falls on the floor and it breaks, you can give it to a professional, he can fix it. But if a professional can look at it and he can see exactly where it was broken. Like this, it doesn't look broken, but he can find the spot. But when a play ring falls on the floor and it breaks, no, you can't tell the difference. Meaning, the Rebbe says, that later on in life, people have children, people go through different problems, and there might be a different of opinion. I wouldn't call them achlekes. Heipach of Shalom Bayis, they should always think on the night of the wedding that they were the happiest time of the year. This is why you give a plain ring, not a diamond ring. Now, therefore, to make a shidduch is very important, very holy. It's like a yontif that a family, I built a family. The Frierdiker Rebbe once said that a shidduch is such a holy thing that it's a pity that it was given to the hands of children. But how else can you build a world if not young? You can't build through older people. You have to build through young people. But it's a pity. But if they would realize, the young people, what a shidduch is, to take up somebody who's from one upbringing and the other upbringing, they get together and they work together and they build a bayis nema b'Yisrael. This is a very important l'maylo. This is why marriage is like lahoye yomim tovim ke yom HaKippurim, chamish osu b'yov and yom HaKippurim. And shalom bayis, as it says by Aaron HaKohen, Aaron was oyev shalom, v'roidev shalom, oyev es-habris u'mekarvin la-Torah. Aaron HaKohen always tried to find shalom between husband and wife. And even if you have to say something which is not true, 100%, he did it. Why? Because it's worth it for shalom bayis. Now, here I heard once I guess it's a word from Schapiro. He says there are 39 melachas that 39 of melachas that you can do. Prohibitions. Not to light a fire on Shabbos is one of the 39. There's a pasuk in the Torah, Leisvaru eish b'chol mashvesechem b'yom haShabbos. Don't light a fire. So the question is, why did he take away fire from the other ones? Why is fire different? Or he should mention all 39, or nothing. But why fire? So there's a lot of tirutzim, but this is for the Mashpi Avot. It's only Avot. So it says that usually people get married, everybody's busy, the whole week. Telephone, a car, he goes to work, she goes shopping, they have children, she feeds the children, they go to simchas, the weddings, to bar mitzvahs. They're busy, they're not together all the time. Come Shabbos, especially now, when you have to quote tea, and also the long day Shabbos, they're both home the whole day. There's no car, there's no telephone, there's no shopping, there's nothing. So they might get into a fire. They might get into an argument. A fire means anger. So the Torah says, it wants to tell you, don't put a fire on Shabbos, don't put a fire on Shabbos. Because Shabbos is a time where they're together, maybe you might, that's important. The Torah said, a special pasuk for that. That's only a word. Now, this teaching of Shalom Bayis has to start before the marriage, not when you get married. And I will tell you a personal story. Baruch Hashem, my wife and I, Baruch Hashem till 120, I would say 95% of the time we have guests on Shabbos. It happens very, very seldom that we don't. Usually we do. So a couple, a Baal Tshuva couple, called us up, and they want to, can we come for Shabbos? I said, for sure. Even though I had more other guests. Yeah, come, fine. They got married maybe a few months. So I come home from shul, I have guests here, and I wait for them, they're not here yet. How long can I wait? So I was waiting for a while, and we made Kiddush. Then we went to wash. We made challah, we made maitzi. And we started to eat fish. We couldn't wait. I usually wait for everybody, but I was already late, I couldn't wait. And while I say the word, we ate fish, because the minhag is to eat fish on Shabbos. This has nothing to do with the story, but I mentioned fish. I want to mention something that says in Talks and Tales, that fish, why do you eat fish on Shabbos? Because Shabbos is dog. Dog is fish. Dog is how much? Dalet is 4, Gimel is 3. 3 and 4 is 7. 7 day eat fish. And I heard once from a Polish Rebbe, they have a minhag, dat Chabad, that fish they eat with the hands. And I think it comes from the Baal Shem Tov, they say, I don't know. Why their hands? Because it says, the gei hayom biyetchem nitonu. The fish was given with hands. That means we're the balabos, people are balabos of fish. And also they want to touch the fish. They want to touch, since it's a mitzvah to eat on Shabbos, so they want to touch the mitzvah. That's why they don't eat for. I heard that the Baal Shem Tov also ate fish with the hands. I don't know, but that's what I heard. Anyways, so we started fish. All of a sudden, after the fish, they come in, the couple. The young couple comes in, sit down. They sit down, he made Kiddush, then they went to wash. Now, my Zayde, all of us, when I was a young, when I was a I was then 8-9 years old. I remember my Zayde, my father's father, Reb Nochem, used to cover the challah knife. He didn't want the challah knife on the table. So many times I take away the challah knife from the table. So I took away the challah knife. Anyways, they made Kiddush, they went to wash. The husband opens up the challah cover, and there's no knife. So he says to her, they weren't allowed to talk because they washed. So he says to her, he motions to her, means bring the knife. So she says to him, you bring the knife. And then he says again, and then she says, he says, and I saw that this marriage is going to be a problem, and it's not going to work, because they both, anyways, I saw that, but I ran to the kitchen, I took a knife, and I gave him the knife. He took the knife, he cut the challah, and he gave her a piece, he made a moitzi. And then he says to her, I learned in yeshiva, it's about Baal Tshuva. I learned first, I think in Heichal HaTorah, was a Baal Tshuva yeshiva before Hadar HaTorah. Then he went to Hadar HaTorah. I learned, the Mashpia told me, that it says, V'hu yimshol bo. I am the balabos, so you better listen to me. That's why. So she says, but I learned in Machan Chana that women are equal. So why should I get the knife? You get the knife. And also she said she heard in Machan Chana by somebody, I think it was Machan Chana, that the husband is the head and the wife is the neck. Wherever the neck turns, that's where the head goes. So who says you listen to me? Anyways, it was like this. Why did this happen? Because people they give the message, but they don't give the right message. He's right. It says V'hu shabo, and she is right. Women are equal. The Rabbi speaks about it, but they have to explain. So and that's why it becomes problems, and that's why the Rebbe says to Rabbi Tversky once that when people grew up not in a home of that they saw the parents have Shabbos, they should go more or less every Shabbos or more Shabbos. They have to have a role model that this is the family that I'm going to follow. They should be ready. I mean, it's good to learn deep. I hear lectures, and everybody goes to lectures. They learn Lekutei Sichos, which is important, of course, and Tanya. But I don't know. They learn Tanya, but when it comes to actually getting married and living husband and wife, they don't know. They don't know how to do. So this is something that we have to know that we should teach them beforehand how to have the Shalom Bayis. And Mitzvah Hashem, next week we're going to continue our second program about wedding, about marriage and Shalom Bayis. Thank you.